What if the most powerful birth preparation isn't a course or a class or a stack of books at all, but a mother who's simply willing to go first so everyone behind her can follow? Hey there, happy home birthers, and welcome to episode 338 of the Happy Home Birth Podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Fusco, and today I am speaking with Cynthia Cruz, known to some of you maybe online as Mama RAC. Cynthia is a wife to her husband, Ron, of 36 years, a mother, a grandmother, and a woman who chose home birth in California more than 30 years ago, back when almost no one was talking about it. Her daughter, Sabrina, and her son, Robert Anthony, were both born at home. And if you have a baseball lover in your house, you may already know her son as Coach RAC of the Savannah Bananas. In this episode, Cynthia takes us back to a time before the internet was crazy with information, before the million courses and videos, when preparing for a home birth meant finding a lay midwife in the yellow pages and filling your mind with Ina May Gaskin, Weston Price, and every birth story you could get your hands on. She shares the spiritual breakthrough that ended 5 years of infertility, a first birth surrounded by 12 onlookers, a second birth so fast and primal that it was over in about an hour and a half, and the family legacy of home birth that her children are carrying now. You are going to love her heart for going first. And if fear is the thing that is sitting on you right now, go grab my free Peaceful Birth Reset at myhappyhomebirth.com/birth reset. A simple practice to help you meet it and return to trust. Let's jump into today's story. Please remember that the opinions of my guests may not necessarily reflect my own and vice versa. And this show is not medical advice, it's an educational tool. So continue to take empowered responsibility for your health and your family. Cynthia, thank you so much for coming on the Happy Home Birth podcast.
I'm so excited to be here, Caitlin.
Oh my word, I'm so excited to have you. This is so special. The way that this all happened was I made a post on Instagram stories and Cynthia responded and just casually offhanded throughout that she had given birth at home in the early 90s. And I'm like, whoa, this is very cool. I'm highly impressed, Cynthia. This is very pre-Instagram. I would love to hear your stories. So I'm so glad to have you here. Would you mind taking a moment here just at the beginning to introduce yourself and your family to the listeners?
Sure. I'm Cynthia Cruz, sometimes known as Mama RAC online. I've been married for 36 years. Ron and I'll have 37 in October. And our children are Sabrina and Robert Anthony, and they were both born at home. And some of the listeners, if they're moms of 8 to 14-year-olds, might know my son. He's Coach RAC of Savannah Bananas. So he teaches about baseball online and encouraging kids not to put their identity in their performance.
You got to feel pretty proud. You've got Coach Rack, you've got your daughter, who we are actually probably going to be hearing from in the next number of weeks, who also has given birth at home. You just got a fun little family over there.
Well, I praise God because, a lot of times it is the circumstances.
Mm,
You really got me thinking about that when you were mentioning the impact of generational words,
mhm.
really, and
Yep.
how women live. And so I was born back in the 60s, and back then my mom had me and my next sister 21 months later in a hospital, gave us bottles. It wasn't even a thought that there was another option. And then my baby sister was born 12 years later. And by then, my mom had been taking a snail mail nutrition course. She'd send in her homework to Arizona and they'd mail back her assignments graded. And it wasn't even a determination. It was like, I remember her coming out of the hospital and saying, oh, yeah, it was all natural. And so it was just assumed that that was possible, I feel
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
So when we would play cards as kids, I was 12, my little sister's 10. My mom's nursing my little sister Cricket. And she's playing cards like crazy eights in those fast cards and beating us while she's nursing. I was like, okay, moms can do anything.
Yeah,
No,
that's right. And that's how we know. We can
that's how we know.
I can nurse my baby and still whoop up on my kids on some crazy eights. I love it.
Exactly.
Wow. I think it is so neat how I was so excited to hear you had chosen to give birth, at home when this was not popular at all, not a popular choice. And then here you're saying, oh, yes. And actually, the story starts back even earlier. You're right. That generational planting of seeds and then seeing them grow is just absolutely beautiful. But tell me, so you said you and Ron.
But I really appreciate you bringing that up because I honestly had not thought about it
Mm,
before you mentioned it. So when Ron and I got married, first couple of years we didn't really try, but then we started trying to have kids and we couldn't have kids. So I didn't mention this before, but so we were 5 years into our marriage. We were not Christian. We did not have children. And we go to this business conference and they said, go to everything. So that Sunday morning, we're in a hotel room and my husband wakes me up, which normally I wake up first. I bring him coffee. But he wakes me up and says, hey, we got to go. I told him I'd be there. And I said, are you kidding? Do you know that this is a Sunday morning service? And he said, yes, I know, we're going. And I said, okay. So we went down there and we get into this big stadium and we're standing at the top looking down, kind of like lost, not wondering where to go. And somebody waves and goes, hey, down here. And we went down there. I don't even know who ever said that. We sat down, listened to this testimony from Ron Pereira and said, I'm thinking in my heart, if he grabs my hand and tells me to go down, I will. And he thinks I grabbed his hand, but somehow we both ended down up front bawling and accepted Jesus. And it really changed our lives. They told us find a Bible believing church that speaks of the blood of Christ, start reading your Bible every day for 15 minutes and pray every day. So that's what we did. And about 3 months later, I started bawling when I was reading, thinking, oh my God, if God has forgiven me, I can forgive me.
oh,
And I didn't think any more about it, but 2 weeks later, Sabrina was conceived.
oh my goodness,
So
Cynthia.
I know that my issue was spiritual.
Yeah. Whoa. Did not know we were going here. Did not
Sorry,
know
I
I
didn't
was
give you
going to
any
need to
warning.
cry. Whoa. I'm just overwhelmed.
Oh,
Just
so sweet. Mhm.
wow. What a massive transformation. Also just thinking about just the beauty of that. Just the beauty of you recognizing, but Holy Spirit working in you to show you, hey, you've been forgiven. So you can let it go. You've already
Yes.
been forgiven. You
I
can let
got
it go.
chills
Ah,
just
yeah,
thinking
same
about it.
over here.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. Incredible. Okay, wow. Okay. So Sabrina is conceived, and how
So,
does that go? Yeah.
but we got to back up
Mhm.
just a little bit because for those 5 years, I was working at a nutritional center and I was researching. So by the time she was conceived, I knew I wanted a home birth. I knew I wanted to homeschool. And I was just arrogant enough to think I could do it.
Love that.
Yeah, yeah, now I realize how much on my knees I would have to be. But yeah, so I just knew that was it. So we found a midwife in the yellow pages, and my husband had never heard of giving birth at home.
Oh.
And that was your question on the thing that really grabbed my attention. And I'm not even on Instagram very often
Mhm.
lately. So, but he was willing to go meet with the midwife.
Mhm.
And so when we met with her, she spent an hour and a half just going over the process. And by the time and I'll never forget, she had like one of those fake babies that looks real. And
Mhm.
so she's turning it, showing us how things work and talking about transition. And so by the time that hour and a half was done, my husband was like, yeah, let's do it.
Wow. Mm. Absolutely incredible. Just so incredible. So, what was that like? Okay, so even just thinking about your family or your friends, how was the information that you were going to give birth at home received?
I really didn't care, but it wasn't. I think I kind of had earplugs on.
hmm hmm
Even I'll talk about it in a minute, but at the day of the birth, there was somebody actually there that did not believe this was a good idea.
Wow.
So I don't recommend
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't help it because they're
hmm
loved ones.
Yeah. Yes, we think it'll be just fine.
Yeah.
And then we realize, oh, actually, uh, okay, so you've made this decision. What was it like preparing at that time? Now it's like you go on Instagram and there's like a million different ways to prepare to give birth at home. You can do this course, that course, you can just watch videos. That is not the case. This is pre-internet. What was that like?
Yeah, she was born 30 years ago. So my midwife had helped 366 babies be born before we met with her.
Mhm.
And she was a lay midwife because I didn't even think of that. The legalities were very different here in California. So between our first and second was when the laws started to change. So our midwife just said, read lots of Ina May Gaskin, read as many stories as you can, and just fill your mind with the fact that other women have done this over time. And
Mhm.
I was also a really big fan of Dr. Price. And
Mm.
so reading the books, yes, I love him. But reading the books about natives
Mhm.
that gave birth at home, they didn't even have hospitals, they didn't have dentists, they didn't have doctors.
Mhm.
That just wasn't a part of their society. Like reading about that and thinking now I'm reading the Bible and I'm seeing midwives that are helping these people give birth. And I realized that that's the way it is or
Mhm.
was.
Wow. Wow. That is very powerful. Okay, so then let's hear how was your pregnancy overall,
Okay.
health-wise?
My pregnancy was great. I loved being pregnant. And my midwife in the beginning said, okay, what are you eating? What are you supplementing? What are you doing? And I wrote out all the supplements, wrote out what I ate, and she knew that I was working at a nutritional center, so she just kind of let me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did opt out of every ultrasound except for the Doppler during birth.
Wow.
That I allowed. I
hmm
did not accept K2 or any shots.
hmm
And yeah.
You're way ahead of the curve. So impressive. Okay, so then let's hear what was it like when you went into early labor? What was going on? Let's set the
Yes.
scene.
So I had a lot of Braxton Hicks early on. But when it came time for labor, and here I wanted a tub, never got it set up because mine came early. But
Mm.
setting the scene, the only picture I have of myself pregnant with my daughter was the day before when a neighbor saw me walking outside and took a picture. So the next morning, I wake up at 5 a.m. with my water breaking.
Wow.
So I get up out of bed. I'm super excited. I call my mom and everybody else. My dad was supposed to be there the following week to be there for the birth,
Mhm.
but he had come into town early. So my dad, my mom, my sister, her boyfriend that I had never met, the neighbors, everybody came over to party. And of course, my midwife told me later that, you know, birthing is a very primitive process. It's a primitive, dark part of the brain that likes to be alone.
Mhm.
And so by the end of the day, my contractions were still like 5 minutes, 10 minutes apart, something like that. And so my midwife said, look, everybody, if you're going to spend the night here, you need to stay in the other room. And
Mhm.
Cynthia and Ron are going to go to sleep, and then we'll see what happens.
Mhm.
So in the middle of the night, just remember her waking me up and asking if she could use the Doppler and see
Mhm.
how things were going. And so that's when it really progressed hard. So I felt like even though it was a little over 24 hours before I had her, it was not super painful. By the time I did start to have her, I remember my husband rubbing my back, and then I had to go to the bathroom. And when I'm sitting on the toilet, I'm thinking, man, I don't think I can do this anymore. And my midwife asked if she could come in, and I said yes. And she said, may I check you? And I don't even think I'd had her check me much before then, if at all.
Mhm.
And I let her, and she grabbed my hand and she put it down there and she goes, that's your baby's head. And I go, I can't do this. And then I got back on the bed and we've got like 12 people right there as I
Oh
give
my
birth,
word.
including that young man that I've never seen again.
Oh my
So,
goodness. I bet he never forgot Cynthia.
right. And so Sabrina came out with an incredible cone head from all that time in there, but
Oh,
nursed right away. It was wonderful.
oh my goodness gracious. So you said over 24 hours. That was from when your water broke?
Yes.
Okay.
So my water broke at 5 a.m. and I think she was born the next day at 7
Okay. Gotcha.
or 6.
Okay. And so do you remember like the progression in terms of, so I guess actually I can piece that together. You said that throughout the day it was sporadic because there are all these people around. You go to sleep and Ron's with you. And then that's when your body really started to get things moving. Did you
Yes.
sleep through the night though?
I actually I got maybe 5, 6 hours, I think. I got a
Wow.
good amount of sleep. I was
Yeah.
probably waking up between contractions, but I don't remember that very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That is incredible. So Sabrina comes out, she's nursing right away. What did the onlookers have to say after seeing all of this?
Well, they were all fans of Homebirth after the fact.
Wow. Of course.
You're probably not surprised.
Yep.
Did you homeschool?
Yes, we homeschool.
Okay, so homeschooling was the same way, right?
Gotcha. So you just have to pave the way. You have to just accept I'm the crazy one. That's fine. I'll go first. And then everyone just follows right behind and it all works out.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. That's how I desire to live my life as well.
Amen.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Okay. So after that incredible experience, when did you have your second child?
Yeah, so he was conceived without even a thought on New
Hmm.
Year's Day, like a couple of years later. But just to back up a little bit, I feel like
Yeah.
this is relevant. The first birth cost us $1,500 out of pocket. Okay.
Wow.
But then our midwife, because of her experience, was grandfathered in, and she
Mhm.
became one who trained other midwives
Mhm.
and helped to establish some of the organizations that put people in touch with midwives. But she was
Mhm.
never a nurse. I think
Mhm.
she might have had to have gone back to school. I'm not sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
But by the time our son came, which was only 2 years and 5 months later, she was required to be a nurse midwife, and the cost went up to $3,000.
Wow. Double
Double,
in two
literally
years.
double. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I just felt like that should be said. So, and also like the birthing kit that she required that I have,
Mhm.
it had shepherd's purse and some other herbs. I don't know if they're included in kits nowadays. Probably, right?
A lot of
So,
times midwives carry those on their own. It
okay.
may not be in the kit itself, but the midwife has it on hand.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's also crazy to think about. Just, legislation just changing so dramatically
Yes.
between baby number one and baby number two in a very, very short span of time.
Yes.
Wow. So then what was that like with your second pregnancy? How did that change your care?
For me, it didn't change anything.
Okay.
I knew I wanted the same midwife. I
Mhm.
wanted the same type of thing. I was hoping to get a birthing pool up sooner because Sabrina, we thought she was born at 37 and a half weeks.
Wow.
And then later I found out that my cycle is such that I ovulated on day 10.
Okay.
So she was probably almost 38 weeks, and so was he,
Okay.
which we expected our daughter to do that. And she was almost 42 with both, right? So, yeah.
She was probably a little disappointed that it wasn't. She was pregnant a whole month longer. But
Yes,
oh my
right.
goodness. Okay. So same midwife, same care throughout.
Just a testament to our expectations, too. Like 42 weeks doesn't sound very long if that's what you're expecting. But
Right.
if you're expecting 38, that's huge.
It's a whole thing. It's just a whole extra month of being pregnant. And that
It
is,
is.
and at the end of pregnancy, every single day can feel like a month or a
Yeah.
year, depending on the day. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that is a lot to kind of mentally work through.
Yeah. I
Wow.
wouldn't have put that on her and
Nope. Hey, what do you know? What
Yeah,
can you say?
you
That's
just
how it
don't
was
know.
for you, and
Yeah.
her story is different, and it'll be
Yes.
fun to hear that. How
Yes.
she processed that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's hear about this second birthing experience. How did that unfold?
Yes. So we moved 2 weeks after Robert Anthony was born. So they were both born in the same house.
Okay.
But then the neighborhood started to go, and my husband said, we're selling. House sold really quick. And then so he had to move everything.
Yeah.
But before that, so I had another uneventful pregnancy, no ultrasound. We didn't know till birth what the baby would be, boy or girl,
Mhm.
and no interventions. It was just like the first one, except with his, I woke up in the middle of the night and started doing dishes, which is not my MO.
Right. Interesting.
Definitely a clue. And then I went to the bathroom and saw the mucus plug and called my midwife, and she said she'd be right out. So my contractions were like 3.5 minutes apart, and they were hard. Like
Wow.
it was totally different contractions from the first one.
Hmm.
So the midwife walked in, put her bag down. I was between, I guess I'd had a contraction right before she knocked on the door. And then I skipped that 3.5 minute one or something. Because when she walked in and put down her bag and looked at me, she goes, you look like you're doing pretty well. And then like seconds later, the next one hit. So with this birth, I knew that he didn't want 12 people looking over me while I was giving birth. So I had planned that it would just be my husband and me and the midwife.
Okay.
And we didn't even wake Sabrina.
Hmm.
So I knelt down by the side of the bed. My water broke. I pushed him out. It was just like my whole labor was like an hour and a half. It was
Wow.
crazy fast. So I had a tear that lasted like 5 months.
Mm.
But then I don't know if you've ever considered like personalities, like the personality of my daughter is a little more reticent or careful, and the personality of our son is more, let's do this.
Let's just shoot right out.
Yes. And I feel like that's kind of the way the births went.
I have always drawn, I've always drawn things from each of my children's births and related it to their personalities and pregnancies as well. I
Yeah.
think that there's just so much information there. There's just so much there. And it
Yeah.
goes both ways. I also feel like it's so important how we speak over our children in pregnancy and how we connect with them, who we tell them they are in utero. You are so precious. You're such a wonderful little baby. Like, speaking those words of life and affirmation over them. But also, yeah, people are who they are. Like, you have this God given personality. And it is so cool to reflect on pregnancy, labor, birth, and be like, oh, yeah, I see it. I see that.
Yes. And you bring up two things that I had forgotten about with my pregnancy with Sabrina. Because it had taken us so long to get pregnant, I was scared of losing the baby.
Ah,
And so every day I would sit in a rocking chair and read Proverbs aloud because that's all I knew how to do to relax.
mm, wow.
So I got in the habit of learning how to relax. And what's funny too is I remember her specifically when I was pregnant with her. She'd come up to the front, like she wanted me to touch her and pet her, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Very
she was
sweet.
like, "Hi, mom."
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
oh wow, that is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Okay, so totally, totally different experiences. Thank goodness you're midwife because like just a call saying like, "Oh, hey, I lost my mucus plug." I could see a midwife being like, "Okay, good for you. See you later. Call me back." Like, the fact that she was like, "All right, I'm up and I'm on my way." There must have been some sense like, "Oh yeah, I need to get there."
Yes. I'm not sure if it was in my voice or if it was the 3.5 minutes.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So you just had with your previous, with Sabrina, it's like you had this warm up time, you had, that opportunity to kind of prepare and even to be slowed down some due to your 12 onlookers. But this birth was just, I mean, and isn't it kind of funny to see that difference of like, wow, that was my watched birth and this is how it unfolded. And then look at this. This is primal, unviewed. And boy, did it just go.
Yes, that's so true.
Oh my goodness. Well, Cynthia, that all alone is just incredible. Like what an amazing thing that you got to experience and then also hearing, okay, so now your daughter has given birth and you said I think your daughter-in-law as well at home birth.
Yes, yes.
I mean,
Yeah, and her sister recently at home, and her husband's sister at home. But in their family, they have somebody that's had five at home. So I
wow.
think that helps. But also
Mhm.
today, we've got podcasts like yours.
Yeah.
We've got video courses that all these young gals took
Mhm.
that are huge. Not everybody's the avid reader that,
Sure.
will do the stories too.
Yes. And that is amazing. But, one of the things that I talk about relatively occasionally, not relatively occasionally, relatively consistently, is that I really would, I want this to become kind of obsolete. Like, I want childbirth education to become kind of a thing of the past simply because we have women who have done it themselves and are then turning to their children and saying, look, this is how birth unfolds. This is what it's like. See, like this is what it is. Just like you were able to do with your children. What a powerful, oh, it's just so powerful when it's your mom, compared to, oh, all of these wonderful, amazing stories that I heard on this podcast. Incredible, so beneficial, just wonderful. But knowing that your mom did it,
Yeah.
that's big.
Oh, I love your vision, and it's a very similar vision to what I have with regards to nutrition.
Mm,
Like, I feel like people need to be able to listen to their bodies and do a mental check of the things. Are you doing these things? Are you doing things you shouldn't be doing? Doing a mental check before saying, let me go to somebody else who can be responsible for my health.
very good. I love that. Now, you mentioned before we started recording that your sister
Yes.
also chose to give birth at home. Was this
Yeah.
your youngest, your 12-year younger sister?
Yes.
Okay. You had a couple things I think you wanted to share about that. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I'm going to leave a lot of her birth stories to her, and I'm not very familiar with them, but there are a couple of her birth stories that I actually got to be there and even catch a baby. So, with her first, she had it in a birthing center. And then her second, she was planning to have a home birth and a midwife. And we were really close. I'd go visit her. She lived maybe 40 minutes from our house. So I'd go visit her pretty frequently. So the morning she called me, she said, I feel like I'm crawling out of my skin. I said, I'll be right there. And I went and got my husband coffee, grabbed the kids, threw them in the car, and ran down to her house because I knew something was going to happen. And I still remember climbing up the steps to her apartment and opening the door. I don't know why. That is just such a clear memory. But after we opened the door, the kid sat down with her 1-year-old outside of the birthing room. And I went back into the bedroom with her husband, and he just kind of encouraged her. And she gave birth not very long after I arrived. And so I got to catch that baby. And then her husband, they waited and cut the cord and all that stuff. So Sabrina was in the next room, but had no desire to come over and see what was going on. She was just playing with the little one. I'm not even sure how old she would have been then. Maybe 9.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I don't even think she was that old. I think she was more like 5.
Mm. That
So
is
that was an experience. And then on her third one, he, well, yes, he was due, and they knew it was going to be a boy. He was due Thanksgiving Day. I don't know if he was due then, but that's when she started having contractions. She was serving everyone. She had made all the food. Everyone was at their house at the time.
women
Grabbed
are
the,
so funny.
I know.
Like, oh, I'm about to give birth, but how about everybody come on over and I'll serve you Thanksgiving? It's so
Yeah.
funny.
Exactly. She grabbed the oven handle and buckled down on her knees to have a contraction. So we knew it was going to be close.
Mhm.
But then she went in the other room to have the baby. And this was actually, yeah, her third. Oh, I was there for her fourth too. And her fourth, they had also told her by ultrasound that it was going to be a boy. But when
Okay.
the baby came out in my arms, I said, it's a girl. And she goes, well, I hope she likes blue. And she went out that day and bought some pink stuff so that her little girl could be in pink.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
Wow. I mean, how neat is this though? Just a family of home birthers and to see that passed down to the next generation. It really is incredible.
I am so grateful. I'm so
Mhm.
grateful. And I feel like just having an open heart to listen, like you are so good at that. But I feel like we could all learn from that.
Oh,
Like there's a lot to be learned no matter who you are, right?
amen. Always. There's always
Yes.
more mystery.
And we learn more with our mouth shut than open. So
Love it. I love it. Cynthia, this was such a blessing. I mean, truly, just so encouraging to hear your experiences and to see what it is that I hope for my family in someone else that's just a couple of steps ahead. Oh, it just gives me so much joy.
how old
Truly,
are your children?
so my oldest is 9. She's 9.5. My middle child just turned 7. And then my youngest for now is 3. And then we have one on the way as
Ah,
well. So, yeah. So
congratulations.
we'll have one more joining us at the end of October. So,
Oh, that's so fun. What a blessing. And I've heard that the hardest is the third. So you're about to come into a very special season because your 9-year-old's going to be a big help.
oh my gosh, she is so, you know what? I love the age gap between my second and third. They're 4 years apart. And
Okay.
so the two girls, they're just so good with their brother. They're so, I mean, patience beyond comprehension. Now, towards one another, zero negative patience, I would say. But towards their little brother, they have endless amounts of patience. And so I know that they are going to be so helpful with this baby coming. They're super excited. Um, yeah, it really is just it is. It's such a blessing.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Cynthia. This was an absolute honor. Thank you so
So
much
sweet.
for coming on the Happy Home Birth podcast.
Thank you. It was totally my pleasure. I love what you're doing.
Oh, what a gift Cynthia just handed us. I keep coming back to that moment 3 months after she gave her life to Christ, sitting with her Bible when she realized that if God had forgiven her, she could forgive herself too. She let it go, and 2 weeks later, after 5 long years of waiting, Sabrina was conceived. She will tell you her issue was spiritual. There is so much in that for us, isn't there? So much of birth preparation is really the work of coming home to ourselves, releasing what we've been carrying, learning, as she put it, how to relax. I love that her first birth and her second birth looked nothing alike. One with a house full of people and a long, slow warm up. One in the middle of the night, on her knees by the bed, over almost before it began. 2 children, 2 personalities, 2 births, each one true to who that little person already was. Your births will tell their own stories too. None of them wrong. All of them yours and your baby's. And I really don't want you to miss this part. Cynthia went first. She was, in her own words, arrogant enough to think that she could do it, and then humble enough to get on her knees. She paved the way, and now her daughter has birthed at home. Her daughter in law has. Her sister has. The seeds that her own mother planted in the 60s are still growing. That is the vision. Not that you need me or a podcast or a perfect plan, but that one day this knowledge lives so deeply in our families that a daughter simply watches her mother and knows this is how birth unfolds. You can be the one who goes first. Cynthia said something that has really stuck with me. She said that she had to learn how to relax. She read Proverbs aloud in a rocking chair day after day until her body knew the way back to calm. If you are carrying fear that you haven't been able to put down, I made something for exactly this. It's called the Peaceful Birth Reset, and it's a free practice, a guided relaxation audio, and a tapping or emotional freedom technique video to help you meet the fear honestly and then return to trust. Fear is not a sign that you have chosen wrong, it just asks to be met and to be moved through. So you can grab it free at myhappyhomebirth.com/birth reset. If today's episode moves something in you, just hold on to it. Pray over it. Share it with the woman in your life who needs to hear that her body and her God were never against her. Okay, my friends, that's all I've got for you for today. I'll see you back here next week.